Because understanding great literature is better than trying to read and understand yet another business book. On the Leadership Lessons from the Great Books podcast, we commit to reading, dissecting, and analyzing the great books of the Western canon. You know, those books, from Jane Austen to Shakespeare, and everything else in between that you might have fallen asleep trying to read in high school. We do this for our listeners, the owner, the entrepreneur, the manager, or the civic leader who doesn't have the time to read, dissect, analyze, and leverage insights from literature to execute leadership best practices in the confusing and chaotic postmodern world we all now inhabit. Welcome to the rescuing of Western civilization at the intersection of literature and leadership. Welcome to the Leadership Lessons from the Great Books podcast. When you come into the court of the king as a jester, you better be ready to be the one who tells the truth, the most often out of all the people in the court. Back in the day, before there was television and movies and the internet and memes and streaming, entertainment was very, very simple, but also very, very complicated. See, if you wanted to watch a show, you had to go to an outdoor place. You had to have plenty of free time. And, well, guess what? You had to be prepared to strain your ears, strain your eyes, and of course, strain your attention on someone who was going to put on a show. Such as it was from the days in the Colosseum all the way to the days of Shakespeare plays in the park. And of course, from private drawing rooms all the way to the king's court. Entertainment has always been hard to come by. In our current era, where entertainment lives in the supercomputers that exist in our pockets, entertainment, from tragedy to comedy to drama to whatever else exists outside of those three genres, is available to us at the click of a button. In particular, comedy is available to us at the click of a button. As you, of course, open up the franchise of entertainment, you, of course, open up the idea of who exactly it is that can be entertained. Individuals have different senses of humor. And, of course, what I think is funny is not what you think is funny, and vice versa. In the court of the king, and by the way, there are still kings, of course, there are still hierarchies, there are still leaders, that's the point of this podcast. In the court of the king, being able to take a joke, even if the joke comes, as it does in our time, through electronic means, is the sign of a healthy leader. A leader who takes the leadership position seriously, but not themselves seriously. Memes, videos, and soon AI are going to continue to challenge leaders, challenge their perceptions of what is funny, and continue to take them down a peg or two or 10 or 3. By the way, if you're going to be the one that creates the content, if you're going to be the one who is the jester, there's nothing funnier than telling the truth, saying it repeatedly, saying it loudly, and saying it in a way that gets a giggle from all the way back in the cheap seats where the hoi polloi are just waiting, are just waiting to be entertained. And well, that's it for me. Thank you for listening to the Leadership Lessons from the Great Books podcast today. And now that you've made it this far, you should subscribe to the audio version of this show on all the major podcast players, including Apple iTunes, Spotify, YouTube Music, and everywhere else where podcasts are available. There's also a video version of our podcast on our YouTube channel. Like and subscribe to the video version of this podcast on the Leadership Toolbox channel on YouTube. Just search for Leadership Toolbox and hit the subscribe button there on YouTube. And while you're doing that, leave a 5-star review if you like what we're doing here on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. Just go below the player and hit 5 stars. We need those reviews to grow, and it's the easiest way to help grow this show. And tell all your friends, of course, in leadership. By the way, if you don't like what we're doing here, well, you can always listen to another leadership show. There are several other good ones out there. At least that's what I've heard. All right. Well, that's it for me.